All right, we're live. Let's get this going. So, our first question I already see. What are authoritarian governments? The definition of authoritarian government is that it is a non-democratic governing system that features absolute rule over the population. What are democratic governments? A democratic government is where the government is controlled by the people. It is up to the citizens of the country on how they want to run their government. What are the differences between these two governments? Democratic governments will allow citizens of the country to have many opportunities to participate in politics. They do this by having elections and having the media to question the motives of the candidates in positions of power. Authoritarian governments do not allow for this type of freedom. The citizens of an authoritarian government do not have free choice of a leader, and they have very little influence in how the government operates. What are the different kinds of authoritarian governments? I'm just going to list them off right here. Totalitarian system, autocratic system, then there's absolute monarchies, and then there's personal dictatorships. You see that? Then we have party dictatorships, military dictatorships, blended dictatorships, theocratic dictatorships. Okay. Now, what are the different kinds of democracies available? There are many different kinds. There's actually only three kinds of democracies. There's direct democracy, representative democracy, and then this one is more of like a ideology, but is liberal democracy. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of having a democracy government in power? The advantages of the democratic government is that it allows everyone to have an opportunity to give input on policy decisions. Another advantage is that the democracy keeps leaders from abusing their powers. If they decide to abuse their powers, they can get thrown out of office. Um, a disadvantage that democracies have is that creating laws takes long periods of time. Another disadvantage is that not everyone's voice will be heard. The governments usually go with the most amount of votes. If you're in the minority, they're probably not going to listen to you, unfortunately. Here's another question. What about authoritarian governments? What positives and negatives do they have? For positives, authoritarians can make very fast decisions because they have all the power. Another positive for authoritarian governments is that there's less stress on decisions because they don't have to worry about the opposition. The negatives with authoritarian governments is that citizens do not get to have any control on what the government is doing, and governments tend to believe that they are above the law. This means that they think that the laws do not apply for them, and they're the ones in control on who gets punished or not. The last and final one. Why is it important to learn about different government systems? It's important because having the knowledge of different kinds of governments that exist allows us to accept the types of governments that we want in. For a government to work, the people have to accept the government as a legitimate authority. If we do not accept the government as a legitimate authority, then we will protest and create chaos against government in power. We want to accept a government system that will listen to our voices and represent our values. The only way we get this is by accepting authority figures that will respect the people and their beliefs. However, this can only happen if we know what type of government system to have in control. We can prevent leaders that have plans to show a totalitarian government style. We want to prevent this because they do not care about the people's concern. They only want control. This is why it's important to learn about government systems to know who you're electing. This is it for the live stream. Thank you for joining.